Every year, Jake would pack up his gear and head into the woods. He loved the peacefulness of camping, the way the trees seemed to hum with life, and the freedom of being surrounded by nature. There was one park he always visited, a remote, quiet place deep in the wilderness. He'd been going there for years, and it felt like home. The park ranger knew him well, and Jake had learned every trail, every hidden corner of the forest. It was the one place where he could truly relax. But this year felt different. When he arrived, it was late afternoon, the sun beginning to dip low behind the trees. After chatting with the ranger, Jake decided to take a walk before nightfall. He wasn't in a rush to set up camp just yet. He wanted to soak in the woods, breathe in the fresh air. It was always quiet, peaceful, until it wasn't. As he wandered deeper into the forest, he heard something faint, leaves crunching underfoot. At first, it didn't alarm him. Small animals, maybe a squirrel or a rabbit, were often rustling in the underbrush. But then, everything went completely still. The birds stopped singing. The breeze died down. The forest held its breath. Jake's skin prickled. The temperature dropped suddenly, and he felt it, a wave of dread, deep in his gut. He paused, scanning the trees, but saw nothing. It was too quiet. That feeling, the one you get when you know something's wrong, crept over him. He turned to head back to camp, but before he could move, he saw it. A figure. Tall. Too tall. It stood motionless, just outside the range of his flashlight. Its eyes, they glowed, a sickly yellow, like a predator watching its prey. Its body was wrong, twisted in ways no human should ever bend. The arms were long, far too long, and the fingers seemed to stretch out, unnaturally long and thin, as if they could reach through the darkness. Jake's heart stopped. He couldn't move. His body was frozen in place, but his mind screamed at him to run. He didn't know what it was, but he knew he had to get away. Instinct took over, and without a second thought, he turned and bolted. The sound of his footsteps was drowned out by the sound of something chasing him. The creature's screech echoed through the trees, sharp, primal, and full of rage. But Jake didn't dare look back. He could hear it, feel it, gaining on him with every breath he took. His legs burned as he ran faster, dodging branches, crashing through underbrush, his mind focused only on reaching the ranger station. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he broke through the trees and stumbled onto the dirt road leading to the station. His chest heaved as he collapsed, gasping for air, his body shaking. The rangers found him moments later, barely conscious. They called for emergency services, and Jake was lucky to be physically okay. But when they asked him what happened, when they asked him why he was so shaken, Jake couldn't say a word. His mouth went dry. He didn't speak about the creature. He couldn't. It was too much. He had seen something out there, something unnatural, and he wasn't sure he could ever understand it. That night, Jake left the park. He never returned. And to this day, when people ask about that place, he simply stays silent. Because some things are better left forgotten.